The moment you hesitate is the moment you lose more than you think, because hesitation is visible even when you believe it isn't. And once it's seen, something in her recalibrates without asking for your permission. You felt it before you understood it, that slight shift in the air, that pause where respect quietly packed its things and left. Attraction doesn't collapse loudly, it erodes in silence. And the men who get trapped are the ones who keep explaining to themselves why staying still feels safer than moving forward. When trust is bent, not shattered, it creates the most dangerous illusion, the idea that time will repair what attention already broke. She crossed a line, maybe softly, maybe with a smile, maybe in a way that allowed her to deny it later. But your body registered it before your mind tried to negotiate. This is where most men fail, not because they are weak, but because they are hopeful. And hope delays decisive movement just long enough for power to slip away. You think walking away is dramatic, cold, unnecessary. But what you don't see yet is how every second you stay teaches her how much pressure you can tolerate before you fold. Silence becomes a test, distance becomes a mirror, and the one who looks back first loses position. You feel the urge to explain, to clarify, to make sure she understands your boundaries, but boundaries explained after they're crossed are no longer boundaries, they're requests. Attraction doesn't respond to requests, it responds to certainty, and certainty never begs to be understood. The danger is not that she betrayed your trust. The danger is what happens to you if you stay and teach yourself that betrayal is survivable. That lesson doesn't stay in one relationship, it rewrites how you carry yourself everywhere. Power shifts invisibly, like weight leaning to one side, and suddenly every interaction feels slightly off, slightly heavy, slightly wrong. Walking away is not punishment, it's calibration, a reset that restores alignment before damage becomes identity. The men who move forward without looking back are not cruel, they are precise. And precision is often mistaken for coldness by those who benefit from confusion. There is a point where explaining becomes self-betrayal, and you are closer to it than you think. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to leave without proving that you were never ready to leave at all. Once you stay after the line is crossed, something unspoken is agreed upon, not between words, but between instincts. And instincts never forget what they learn. She doesn't need to repeat the behavior to confirm it. Your stillness already confirmed it for her. Attraction reads momentum the way fire reads oxygen, and the moment you slow down to process, it decides whether to keep burning or look elsewhere. You tell yourself you're being mature, patient, controlled, but control that waits for permission is not control, it's containment. Every unanswered message, every delayed response, every quiet test she runs is not curiosity, it's measurement. And she is learning how far she can lean without you stepping away. The mistake isn't caring, the mistake is letting care replace position. There's a reason the most dangerous shifts happen without confrontation, because confrontation creates noise, and noise creates accountability. Silence creates space, and space reveals who moves toward you and who relaxes once they believe you won't move at all. This is why walking away works before it makes sense, because it interrupts the measurement. The moment you remove yourself without explanation, the equation collapses, and confusion replaces comfort. Power never announces itself. It rearranges the room quietly, and suddenly the one who assumed stability feels the floor move. You think she needs clarity, but clarity is a gift given to those who respected the line in the first place. When trust is tested and you respond by staying, you teach the test how to evolve. This isn't about revenge or pride. It's about refusing to let erosion become normal. Even Machiavelli understood that perception hardens faster than intention, that men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. What she sees is what counts, not what you meant, not what you felt, not what you hoped would be understood later. Once she sees you absorb the impact and remain, the frame changes, and frames once set resist correction. Leaving without drama is not emotional, it's architectural. It removes a load-bearing pillar she assumed would always be there. The danger is not that she won't chase. The danger is that she won't need to, because the version of you that stays teaches her that you already surrendered ground you won't get back. By the time you start asking yourself whether leaving is too harsh, the damage has already been logged where it matters. Attraction does not negotiate with explanations. It records patterns and responds accordingly. When you remain after the boundary fractures, you don't appear loyal, you appear predictable, and predictability drains tension faster than any argument ever could. She doesn't consciously disrespect you. She relaxes around you, and relaxation is the enemy of desire. The shift is subtle, almost polite, but it's irreversible once it settles in. You begin to feel it in the pauses, in the way her attention no longer locks onto you but drifts, sampling the room, measuring alternatives without guilt. That's when most men panic and try to restore what was lost by giving more presence, more reassurance, more emotional availability, not realizing that every extra inch offered confirms the collapse of the original frame. Walking away isn't about punishing her. It's about protecting the version of you that existed before permission was granted to cross that line. The longer you stay, the more you rewrite yourself into something that explains instead of acts, reacts instead of decides. She doesn't need closure to move on. She needs consistency, and staying after betrayal provides exactly that. The cold truth is that attraction respects absence more than endurance, because absence introduces uncertainty, and uncertainty reignites attention. When you disappear without dramatics, without speeches, without emotional bookkeeping, the narrative breaks, and suddenly she is forced to confront a version of you she cannot predict or control. That moment is dangerous, not for her, but for the image she held of you. You think leaving makes you replaceable, but staying makes you permanent in the wrong role. Power is never loud at the point it matters most. It is quiet, final, and untraceable. The ones who truly walk away do not announce strength. They remove access, and access once lost reshapes memory in uncomfortable ways. If you hesitate now, it's not because you don't know what to do, it's because you already sense what staying will turn you into. And that version should scare you more than leaving ever could. At this stage, the silence around you starts to feel heavier than any confrontation ever could, and that weight is not accidental. When you don't react, when you don't circle back to explain yourself, the space you leave behind begins to work on her imagination in ways your presence never did. Attraction doesn't chase clarity, it chases contrast, and nothing creates contrast faster than a man who removes himself without friction. She expected questions, anger, negotiations, some visible wound she could measure and step around. What she didn't expect was the absence of noise, the calm that makes her second-guess which part of the story she never actually controlled. People think walking away erases you, but in reality it sharpens the outline of who you were before compromise set in. Your restraint becomes a mirror, and in that mirror she is forced to see the moment things shifted, the moment she crossed a line and you didn't follow her across it. This is where perception does the real damage. Not facts, not explanations, not timelines. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. That thought lingers because what she sees now is not a man pleading for restoration, but a man who moved forward without asking permission. The mind fills silence with its own accusations, and those accusations are always harsher than anything you could have said out loud. You become a reference point she can't edit, a memory that resists being softened by excuses. The absence starts to rearrange the past. Moments replay with a different emphasis, small details gain weight, and suddenly the certainty she had begins to crack. You are no longer available to absorb her doubts or reassure her decisions, and that lack of access turns curiosity into discomfort. This isn't about winning her back or teaching a lesson. It's about refusing to shrink yourself to maintain a version of connection that already decayed. The calm you hold now is not indifference, it's control, and control unsettles those who relied on your predictability. When you don't look back, the power dynamic stops moving in circles and locks into place, and from there, every imagined outcome feels slightly out of reach. She can't tell if you're gone for good or simply unreachable, and that uncertainty keeps working long after the last message went unanswered, long after she thought she understood where she stood. By now, the narrative has shifted without you ever touching it, and that is what makes it irreversible. When you don't return, when you don't soften the exit with explanations or nostalgia, the imbalance becomes permanent. She starts measuring herself against the version of you that no longer needs validation, and that comparison is where attraction twists into tension. The mistake most men make is believing presence is power, when in reality, access is the currency that decides everything. You removed access the moment a boundary was crossed, and the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was structured, intentional, controlled. This is the phase where her emotions stop moving forward and begin looping, replaying moments where she assumed you would stay, where she tested limits thinking consequences were negotiable. Your absence refuses to cooperate with that assumption, and the mind hates unresolved equations. Every calm step you take forward sharpens the feeling that she miscalculated, not because you punished her, but because you didn't. There is no anger to argue against, no weakness to exploit, no open door to step back through. Attraction doesn't collapse when you leave, it destabilizes when you leave cleanly. You become a fixed point she can't influence, and that loss of influence is what turns curiosity into pressure. She may tell herself stories, blame timing, distance, circumstances, but the underlying realization keeps surfacing that you saw enough and chose movement over emotion. This is where respect is either reborn or permanently withdrawn, and both outcomes are heavier than reconciliation ever was. You are no longer reacting to how she feels, you are acting in alignment with what you tolerate, and that alignment radiates a quiet authority. People sense when a man's direction is not dependent on their approval, and that sensing changes how they remember him. The past stops being a shared space and becomes a closed room she can't enter without confronting her own choices. You don't need to announce that you've moved on. The structure of your silence does it for you. Every day you don't look back reinforces a truth she can feel but not undo, that access to you was a privilege she didn't secure. And the longer that truth remains unchallenged, the more dangerous it becomes to hope for a return that was never promised. At this stage, the separation stops being about her and becomes about what you refuse to compromise inside yourself. The power isn't in leaving, it's in not narrating the leave, not decorating it with reasons, not softening the consequence so someone else can feel comfortable. When people look at your path and can't tell whether you're cold or simply decided, Uncertainty does the work for you. What they see is movement without apology, direction without performance. As one dangerous observation quietly reminds us, men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. What they witness shapes belief far more than what you explain. And right now, what is visible is a man who didn't freeze when emotion tried to anchor him. She doesn't need to hear that trust was broken. She feels it in the absence of your return. Attraction doesn't beg for reassurance. It tightens around what it can't touch. And your silence has become an object with weight. You are no longer part of her emotional present. You are a fixed reference in her memory that refuses to update, and that static image is unsettling because it suggests permanence. This is where most people sabotage themselves, by reaching back just to check, just to confirm impact, just to prove they mattered. And in doing so, they hand control back. You didn't. You let the question remain unanswered, and unanswered questions live longer than closure. What you're doing now isn't avoidance, it's authorship, choosing which version of yourself gets access to the future. There's a quiet discipline in not chasing emotional resolution, in allowing consequences to exist without supervision. Those who understand this never announce it. They simply continue forward until the past loses its leverage. If any part of this resonates, not as motivation but as recognition, stay close to the pattern you're witnessing here and let it sharpen how you move next. Because once you understand that looking back is a form of negotiation, you also understand why some doors stay closed forever, and why that is exactly what keeps you dangerous.